does personal responsibility mean to you?
That's a great question. Personal responsibility. Because there's so many things that we can control, and then there's so many things that we cannot control. Right?
I don't know.
But at the same time, in every situation that we're involved in, taking personal responsibility to me means owning my role and my responsibilities in that situation. What's up, everybody? DJ Coros.
I'm Bob Safaya. Welcome to another episode of our podcast.
Yeah, a mastermind where we just get to talk.
Yeah, man. We've been coming up with some pretty good...
We've been having some good conversations.
Real good conversations.
Some really good conversations, as we always do, and we record them now, so that's really cool. And today we're going to talk about one that's big to us both. And it's really a principle that we both have always had that we had not identified until sometime within the past year, right?
Right.
And that's personal responsibility.
Yeah.
So Bob, you are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. Like when you hear personal responsibility, what does that make you think, or what emotions does it stir up in you?
It's one of my favorite things to say. Point thumbs and not fingers.
Oh, we had bracelets that said that. We had.
Yeah. It's like this. Like this.
Versus.
Yeah, everybody's always trying to blame everybody else for what's going on in their life. Man, it's so much easier just to take responsibility. Or maybe it's not easier.
Oh, it's easier to blame everybody else for what you got going on.
It's easier to blame people. But then it's even down to communication. Say if somebody doesn't hear what you say, whose fault is it?
Most people say what? They weren't listening to me.
They need a hearing aid. They weren't listening. How many excuses have you used for someone not hearing what you have to say?
And at the same time, if my 5-year-old son wants something, he makes sure that I hear it.
Right.
He makes sure that I hear it.
Right. It's amazing, kids. How much easier it is for them. Not only does he make sure you hear it, but in no frame of mind does he think that he's not going to get what he wants.
They don't see themselves. They don't see at all them not getting what they want.
Right.
And on that personal responsibility things, something picked up from Tony Robbins is the 3 decisions that he says that we're constantly making. And they tie right into personal responsibility. Those 3 decisions being, 1, you decide what you focus on, right? Are you focusing on the good or are you focusing on the bad? Because there's good and probably bad in just about every situation. Which side are you focusing on?
Right.
You, second, decide what meaning you give to it. Little example about that is if do you see the glass half full or do you see the glass half empty? What meaning do you attach to it? And then third is, what are you going to do about it? Those are 3 decisions that we constantly make on a daily basis, and they're...
Yeah. Yeah.
What
the other thing Tony Robbins says is not to get caught up in the current. Most people are in this river of life, and, they come to a fork in the river, and they just go where the flow takes them. Yeah. They don't decide which fork they're going to take.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one on personal responsibility. It's deciding where you're going. Where are you going? We've been talking about this too. It's that. Why are you in it?
Mm-hmm.
What are you trying to accomplish?
Mm-hmm.
Because personally, I know what I'm trying to accomplish, right? But that doesn't help. Knowing what I want doesn't help me get what other people want for themselves. So, it's real easy for me to take responsibility because I'm really crystal clear on what I want.
Mm-hmm. And you even take responsibility for things that aren't that you're so grounded in personal responsibility, that even when something that is really out of your control happens, you still take responsibility for it. Because
First reaction.
First reaction is to take responsibility for it.
First reaction, I take responsibility for it. I'm not looking for. I'm looking for my involvement. Like, my involvement may not be like my hands are on it and I'm touching it, but my involvement is, well, now what's become really clear is the principles that we've established for the company, right? Like, if we're talking about the company, we're talking about if something happens, something doesn't go the way that it's supposed to go, what happened?
Mm-hmm. Because you don't have control. If you don't, ultimately, people love control, right? People want to feel like they're in control, and ultimately, if you want control, you have to take responsibility for some things. Because what we see more often is someone being blamed, like me blaming you. I blame you for something happening to me, or not happening to me, or me not accomplishing something that I desire. I'm gonna blame you instead of saying,
not me.
Instead of saying,
no, right.
What did I do in this situation, or what could I have done different? I know what you.
I'm saying, like, look, I'm the only one you can't blame.
Yeah,
I'm the only one. You can't point fingers at me and say I'm the reason why you're not successful.
Yeah, but that's how
it works.
That's what a lot of times what happens.
I think I've told you this before, is that, like, I see that as one of, like, when we're growing and we're trying to attract agents to our world, right? We're trying to bring agents into our world. We're trying to share with them what we work on every day. But I find, like, once we get face to face with some people, we say, look, we're going to remove all the reasons, all the excuses, all the things that you could blame on someone else. We're going to take all of those away. And your only decision is to show up or not show up. And at that point, you don't have any excuses why you failed. But that freaks people out. Because they've spent their whole life making excuses for why they don't have what they want. And when you show them a clear path, some people embrace it. They're like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for this my whole life. And then some people bow out. They're like, oh my gosh, I have a chance to be successful in my life and have everything I want. But I better leave before anybody finds out that I'm a fraud. Shit's cool to see, especially when you say it to someone. Like, you're like, look, man, here's the deal. I don't know, I'm not going to really look into your history because you might have worked with a poor leader before. I mean, chances are you have. Most leaders suck, right? So I'm not going to use that as an influence on whether or not you're going to be successful in our company, because maybe it's an ego thing. I say, look, we've got the tools all set up for you. Here, man, it's on you. It's on you. Mm-hmm. You're going to know what you need to focus on. You're going to know what you need to learn. You're going to know how much time you're going to spend on each one of these things, to the point that if you fail, you don't have anybody else to blame.
That scares a lot of people.
It scares them.
Because people have become accustomed to having someone or something to blame for their lack of, or their mess.
Man.
Personal responsibility.
So what else? What does it mean to you, man? What does personal responsibility mean to you?
I mean, personal responsibility is like, you gotta own it. You gotta own it. Own the good and the bad. Because we all got bad too. And part of my personal responsibility is to share some of my BS, and to share some of my failures, and to share so that someone else doesn't have to go through that, and be fully transparent and honest about them. Because, hey guys, we all got some stuff that we have messed up on, and that we would have loved to done different. So, like, personal responsibility to me is like owning it, and own your shit. Yeah. Like, own your shit. Like, if something good happens, yeah, like a lot of leaders, as a leader, you had some influence in it. And if something bad happened, you had some influence in that too. You can't take all the credit for the good and none of the credit for the bad. Right. Like, personal responsibility is owning all of it. Like, what part did I play in this situation? Me and my spouse isn't communicating well. Well, like, how many times do we see it? She doesn't listen. He doesn't listen. He does this. She does that. He does this. She does that. But never it's, hey, I stay up until I'm up drinking on hours of the night, or I'm always gone playing golf, or I'm always gone chasing women. It's never that. It's never that. But my spouse doesn't listen, like, and that's an extreme example, but I know that one might hit home for some people.
It feels good having control of it.
You always say about the personal responsibility of honesty is one of your things too, but how you're so personally responsible for what you say, and you know that you live in that you don't have to circle back ever and wonder what you said to someone.
No, I don't. And now I'm going to say the agent's name, but a big agent in town called me up. I can't believe you would say da 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 da. I said, whoa, hold on a second. That's not true. I didn't say that.
Mm.
You can stop right there. I'm not going to listen anymore because I didn't say that. How do I know I didn't say it? Because I've never said anything like that before in my life.
You're personally responsible for
I know what I said. Shit, I've said some shit, but I know I didn't say that. So might as well just stop there, because no matter what you tell me, it doesn't matter, because I already know that I didn't say it.
Yeah. That personal responsibility to own it.
Own it.
To own it.
Yeah. Like, I also think part of it is like Google too. When I say Google, like, I mean, like, finding the information. Like, there's a level of responsibility when it comes to finding answers.
Yeah,
right?
It is.
Like, we get that a lot, like people asking questions that, a lot of what I learned was from Google, to be honest with you. Like before and that's maybe the personal responsibility thing, is before I talk sometimes, I don't want to talk unless I know the answer. Like, I'm not going to get into an argument with you about rules and laws unless I know the rules and laws better than I knew before we started the conversation. I'm stopping, I'm pausing, and I'm calling you back and what am I doing? I'm Googling.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna find the answer before I get into an argument. I'm not gonna get an argument over something I don't know the answer to.
You gotta be personally responsible.
So if we get an argument, just know I'm right. Might as well just wrap it up. Say, sorry, Bob, I know you know what you're talking about. You're right. Because I did research.
Yeah. That's
a responsibility I take. Right?
Like that personal development is a personal responsibility.
Man. So, getting back to that, like, I think that it has a lot to do with finding the answers. It has a lot to do with taking responsibility for what you say. I think a lot of it has to do with not pointing at people in any type of situation. What's the one about running in the back of a car or something?
Like taking it to the extreme of, if you're sitting at a stoplight and someone just rams into the back of you, whose fault is it? Right? Of course, you're going to get out of the car, we're angry at this other person, and we're going to be pointing fingers and screaming, you ran into me, I was parked. And at the same time, if you want to take personal responsibility to an extreme, I could have left 5 minutes earlier. I could have took a different route. Like, I could have been looking in my rear view to see that this guy wasn't slowing down, and maybe I had an opportunity to swerve a little, to push the gas a little bit and get out of the way. Taking personal responsibility to such an extreme level that you own what's happening to you at all times. Yeah. That's personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility. It's one of the principles of our company, and it's one that I live by, and I know DJ lives by it. So, point thumbs, not fingers. Thumbs, not fingers.
Easy way to remember personal responsibility.
Take responsibility. And LTFG.
If you don't know what that means, LTFG.
Yes.